state needs to be providing relief to local governments. It needs to be providing a lot of flexibility and tools so that way our cities and municipalities and our counties can really operate effectively to provide relief to low and medium income families. I've pledged to file a sales price disclosure bill so we have transparency in our appraisals. I've pledged to work for a flat dollar homestead exemption so that way local governments can have the same flexibility as school districts. I believe we should be introducing circuit breaker legislation. Over 30 states have it. We need to start talking about how property taxes really associates with annual household income so that way people aren't paying more than a certain percentage.
For somebody who's watching this and doesn't know, what's the circuit breaker idea that you're talking about? How does that work?
Absolutely. It ties up your property tax bill to your annual household income, and it is some sort of mechanism for a local government to provide relief or credits to your next property tax bill. So you never pay more than a certain percentage of what you make on just trying to live in your own home. So 30 other states have it. There are various forms of it. We should start discussing it here in Texas. No, I don't think more highways and more lanes are the solution. I think we need to be exploring multimodal transportation options. I think we need to really invest in public transit. I think we need to find ways to divert through traffic, such as 18-wheelers off 35 and move them over to 130. We have leaders in the House who are talking about it. We just need to start investing as a state and really start working with local governments to be effective on that front.
So it would be funding from the state for these bus programs, cycle programs?
It would be funding from the state. I mean, we haven't raised the gas tax since 1991, 1992. We need to start investing in transportation and be forward thinking, beyond just highways.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's going to be the biggest issue next session, and we need to make sure that when it comes to school finance reform, Austin gets its fair share of dollars because we have a lot of students who are coming from low-income families. We need to restructure formulas in the Robin Hood plan. We need to reform our property tax system that's just broken. It's clearly unconstitutional, and we expect the courts to rule accordingly. This is one thing where we can really start building on coalitions with rural Republicans to be effective on that front.
Are we talking about changing the funding, like just making the pot of money per kid higher, or are you trying to change?
I mean, we should double the rate that we provide for low-income students. The state should be meeting its obligation and invest more dollars into public ed, such as tipping into the rainy day fund. But when it comes to school finance reform, I mean, it just has to be comprehensive. We have to tweak formulas. We have to make sure that Austin doesn't send away as many dollars as it should be, because right now it's unfair that a large urban school district isn't meeting its needs. We have to be on top of the messaging. I mean, Dan Patrick isn't going to introduce vouchers. He's going to introduce education savings accounts, a program modeled after a voucher-style program in Nevada. We need to be very vigilant about what they're trying to shove through because they're not going to use the vouchers next session. And we need to be on top of that in the House. My role as a legislator, I bring the legislative experience where I understand the rules of the House very intimately. I've worked there for the past 3 sessions. I know how to defeat bad Republican pieces of legislation on points of order and other technicalities. And we need that sort of expertise to be on the front lines in the House because we're losing Trey Martinez-Fisher, we're losing Ruth McClendon-Jones, Sylvester Turner, Elliot Neistat, all not just Democrats, but real progressive Democrats. I mean, it's our role to, fight back for local control. It's our role to stand up for immigrant families. I'm the son of a once undocumented mom, so it's going to be a personal fight for me. We have to be on top of our messaging. We have to make it very clear that this is a public safety standpoint. Victims should be able to report crimes without, the fear of deportation. People should be able to, take their kids to school or go to work without the fear of, being sent to a foreign country. I wouldn't say Texas Democrats haven't been cooperative with the Republican majority, but they've been playing defense for too long. If Texas Democrats want to start winning again, we have to offer up an agenda that's positive and progressive. We can't afford to be a reactionary party anymore. We can't afford to be a party of simply no, or where we're known of what we stand against. We have to stand for something. And that's why I'm running. I'm tired of seeing Democrats play defense. I think this is our opportunity to really stand firm, represent the most progressive liberal district in Texas, which is this Central Austin corridor, and really be a progressive conscience in that chamber. The first bill that I would file, I'd file a $15 minimum wage bill. I don't know if it would pass, but if Arkansas, the Republican home of Walmart, can raise the minimum wage, we can start the conversation here in Texas. And I think poverty's bigoted, poverty's racist, poverty is sexist, and until we start talking about income inequality, we're not going to progress as a state. You know, I'm a 23-year-old taking on 6 lawyers. I bring the legislative experience to be effective, but I'm also going to be that liberal progressive conscience in the House chamber. This is the most progressive district in Texas. We should be represented by a champion, not a seat warmer. And I respect my opponents. I believe they'll vote correctly if they get elected, but we need somebody who has more than just a good voting record. We have somebody who will fight for us. We need somebody who will really toe the line towards the left, and I'm that candidate.